Hey guys, this is Steve Huff. I run and operate SteveHuffPhoto.com, but I also run and operate this YouTube channel, which is called Steve Huff. I've been reviewing gear for 8 years, and most of it camera, some of it hi-fi, some of it gadgets, some of it headphones. But today I want to talk about a set of speakers that I have right here from Kef. These are the LS50 wireless, meaning they're not really wireless because you have to hook up wires and plug them into the wall for them to work, but they're active monitor speakers. Now, the Kef LS50 passive versions, the versions that have been for sale for 4 or 5 years now, have been highly acclaimed, highly reviewed. Now, a little bit of background on me. I've had hi-fi in this room here since 2010. So we're looking at 7 years, and about 25 years of my life, I have been into audiophile, high-end stereo music reproduction. So I've tested systems ranging from $500 up to $50,000. And truth be told, that $50,000 system in this room was probably one of the worst sounding out of all I've had. And these two here, which come with the amps built in. So each one of these speakers has a 200 watt amp driving the mids and bass and a 30 watt Class AB amp running the tweeter. So you're looking at 230 watts of power per speaker. You have 24 192 DACs built in and all the inputs you could ever need. You have USB, optical, RCA. So what I have going in, you might be able to see it behind me. I have a Sonos system running optically into the speakers with an AudioQuest Diamond optical cable. Yes, I do believe in even high-end optical cables making a difference. I've heard it with my own ears. Maybe not everybody can, but I can. So I have an AudioQuest Diamond optical cable from the Sonos going into the LS50s. I have a turntable behind me, as you can see. This is a Marantz TT15. And that's going into a phono stage, which is tubed, a Vincent audio, and that's going into the RCAs of the Kefs. Now, I also have isoacoustics, PERTAs, I think APERTA, stands on these because due to the fact that you have to plug them into the wall with their own power cable and hook everything up to your source, they will not reach out into the room on my stands. So I bought these stands, and I'm glad I did because it opened these things up like you wouldn't believe. Now, what you're looking at right here, these Kef LS50s, the active versions, in this room, which is small, 12 by 13, the same room I had my Sonus Faber Guarneri Evolutions, my Guarneri Mementos, the Amati Futuras. I have had Focal number 2s in this room. I've had Wharfindale Denton's $500 speakers in this room. I've had so many speakers I can't even remember what has been in here. But I've had some pretty high-end stuff. And I'm going to tell you right now, these two at $2,200 a pair, you get everything, the amps and DACs. This is the best sound I've had in my room, with a close second being my Sonus Faber Guarneri Evolutions, which are $24,000 speakers. If you pay that much new retail, of course, you can get them used for much, much less. But these are blowing my mind. So if you're into 2-channel stereo audio, you want to be able to run music wirelessly through it, because that's what it means. You're running your music wirelessly through these speakers. The speakers themselves are not wireless. But you have options on the back of the right speaker to set it up to your situation. You can set it, you could push a button and say they're close to the wall. You can push a button and say they're far from the wall. You can push a button and say they're on dedicated stands, or you can push a button and say they're on a shelf or something like I have here. So once you tweak that and get them set up and dialed in, I have mine towed into my listening sweet spot, which is behind this camera. The sound is out of this world. So how I'm going to describe the sound, I might use some audiophile terms, but the imaging and detail and layering of these speakers is phenomenal. I'd rate that a 10 out of 10 for the layering and the detail. You hear things, especially with acoustic music, vocals, drums, you hear every little detail, yet they're never bright, they're never harsh, they're never strident, and they never I've listened here for 6 hours one day to these, and they never cause listening fatigue. So they're not too bright. The old passive versions I found were a little thin sounding due to the lack of bass. These go into the 40s, and you do not need a subwoofer if you're in a room like mine. Again, I'm in a 12 by 13 room, a room that should be a nightmare for sound, but these sound amazing. There's nice deep bass. It's never bloated or loose. It never loses control in the room. It's tight, it's fast, and it's plentiful. You'd be amazed at the bass that comes through these. Now, I will play a little sample for you in a minute, but on YouTube, there's absolutely no way to understand how these really sound. So you're going to have to go to a dealer or somewhere to demo them, or take my word for it. I bought these from Amazon via Amazon Prime. They came in one day for $2,200, and they are not going back. Now, I've had Devialet Phantom silvers and golds in this room, and the gold Phantoms are amazing, but they're $6,000. Then you need the dialogue to go with it, so you're spending like $6,500. $2,200, I'm getting a sound that in some ways is similar. It's not as powerful or massively room-filling as the Phantoms, but I'm getting more detail, better imaging, soundstage. These are delivering almost a soundstage width as good as my Phantom Golds. Almost. It has great soundstage height. You can hear the different performers and where they're supposed to be, and the vocals are coming out dead center. It doesn't sound, with well-recorded material, it doesn't sound like they're coming from the speakers. Now, one thing I found with the previous LS50s, they excelled at jazz, vocals, acoustic, but what about rock and roll or metal or 80s pop or stuff like that that normally sounds bad on audiophile speakers? Well, I jammed some Kiss 70s vinyl through these, and while they were missing out on a little bit of that mid-bass thump that you get with rock and roll speakers like Klipsch or what have you, the spaciousness was there, the vocals were clean, the instruments were all separated, but it was a little thin due to the mid-bass hump not being there for hard rock or metal. Even so, if you listen to hard rock or metal through these, you're not going to be really disappointed because it's going to bring you a whole new experience with the clarity and the definition without being bright. And they don't sound thin with rock or metal, they just don't have that oomph, that big punch you in the gut kind of impact that larger speakers have. Before I go and play a little sample with these, I just wanted to say that if you're into 2-channel stereo, if you want super high quality sound that's audiophile without being bright or harsh or thin, you must take a look at these Kef Ls50s. They are absolutely amazing for the money. In fact, I would say that these might be the best bookshelf/monitor speakers that I've heard up to $15,000. Now, I said I'm preferring the sound of these to my Guarneri Evolutions that come in at $24,000. But the Guarneris are on another level visually. They're striking, they're handmade out of wood, made in Italy, and they're beautiful. So to get the same sound equivalent, the Guarneris are a little warmer and thicker. You're paying $24,000. These are $2,200. You can buy 10 pairs of these and put them all over your house for the same cost as one pair of the Sonus Fabers. And with the Sonus Fabers, you need a good amp, a good DAC, a good preamp, and a source. With these, all you need is your source and a wall outlet to plug them in. So I give these a 10 out of 10 without any question. These are some of the best speakers I've ever heard. And for the type of speaker they are a screaming deal. So you can buy these at Amazon. The link is in the description below, and they ship them. Amazon ships them via Prime. So if you're a Prime member, you can get them really quick. And I'm just going to play something on them right now. And again, you're not going to get that full experience because you're listening on YouTube. So, but you can maybe get an idea. So thanks for watching. This is Steve Huff. And the review, I did a written review of these at stevehufpphoto.com in the Hifi section of the website. So shut this off. So the weak points of these, the only negative thing is the amp that Kef wants you to use to stream your music. It's garbage, it's useless, it's a piece of crap. They need to totally redesign the app. I don't even use the app. I used it once to set them up when I plug them in, and I don't ever go back into it. I couldn't anyway because it doesn't recognize the speakers. You have to reset the speakers every time you want to go into the Kef app. So I don't even use it. I use my Sonos app or my Spotify app, and it plays just fine. If I want to use my turntable, I just switch the input on top of the speaker to the analog ins. The remote, thought I had the remote. I left it over there, but I showed it a minute ago. It's plastic, it's nice enough, but they should have dedicated input buttons. It has one button for switching inputs, but you never know what input you're switching to. So it should have a dedicated input on the remote. So I want to know, oh, I want to go to my optical. Oh, I want to go to USB. Oh, I want to go to my analog. But they only have one button. But other than that, the remote is fine. It does the job. I would have liked to have seen a metal remote because these are pretty high-end looking speakers. They're hefty, they're made to a high standard, and they look great. So if you're looking for a 2-channel stereo for a listening room or living room or bedroom that sounds phenomenal, where you're going to get that spacious sound stage, the layering and detail, the magical sounds that are usually reserved for $5, $10, $15, $20,000 speakers. Look at these guys on Amazon, the Kef Ls50 wireless. A link to Amazon is below. You could read the reviews there as well. They mirror what I'm saying here. And I hope you enjoyed this look at the Kef Ls50 wireless.